Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are tackling a totally foundational and honestly absolutely fascinating topic in O-level biology, cellular division and genetics. We're going to break down the mechanics of chromosomes, haploids, and diploids. We'll be turning these complex microscopic processes into clear, manageable concepts that you can easily visualize and, of course, absolutely master for your exams.
So let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered if the number of chromosomes in your cells is just some random biological accident? Well, spoiler alert, it's not. Not at all. It's actually a carefully, meticulously orchestrated count that dictates absolutely everything, from your everyday physical growth all the way to your ability to reproduce. Today we're going to unpack the exact mechanics behind that perfectly balanced number. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our visual syllabus for today. First, the blueprint of life. Second, unpacking the chromosome. Third, the dance of meiosis. Fourth, haploid versus diploid cells. And finally, acing your biology exam. First up, Section 1, the blueprint of life.
Now, understanding the differences between haploid and diploid cells is absolutely crucial. And look, this isn't just about earning marks on your O-level biology exams, though it's definitely going to do that for sure. It actually has profound real-world applications in genetics and modern medicine. Whenever doctors study inherited diseases or researchers look at genetic diversity, they're looking directly at the exact mechanics we're about to explain.
Moving on to Section 2, unpacking the chromosomes. Okay, look at the screen here. We are zooming straight from a macro human cell all the way down into the microscopic nucleus, and bam, there's the chromosome. Chromosomes are the actual carriers of your genetic information. Imagine them exactly as they're labeled here, incredibly tightly coiled, organized packages of DNA. This precise coiling is exactly what allows a massive amount of genetic data to be safely stored and moved around during cell division. Now watch what happens when a cell gets ready to divide. We start with a chromosome in its simplest form, just a single strand. Then DNA replication kicks in, and boom. As labeled right there on screen, we now have two absolutely identical copies connected together known as sister chromatids. This duplicated structure is the essential prerequisite for passing on genetic material correctly. And this brilliantly illustrates our next vital concept, homologous chromosomes. These two distinct chromosomes are pairs. You literally inherit one from each parent. Notice how they are strikingly similar in size and shape, and if you look closely at those highlighted bands on the diagram, you'll see they carry genes for the exact same traits at the exact same corresponding positions. This matching parental pair is the entire foundation of how traits are inherited. Let's move into Section 3, the dance of meiosis. Let's walk through this chronological flowchart for an event called prophase I, which happens during meiosis. Step 1, the homologous chromosomes, our parental pair, approach each other. Step 2, an event called synapsis occurs. See how the chromosomes pair up so closely they form that merged structure? That's known as a bivalent. This super tight pairing in synapsis sets the perfect stage for the crucial third step. And Step 3 is crossing over. Pay attention to the arrows on screen right now. Notice the physical exchange of actual DNA segments happening here. The non-sister chromatids, meaning one chromatid from the maternal side and one from the paternal side, are literally swapping corresponding pieces of genetic code. This genetic recombination massively increases genetic variation. It's basically nature's way of shuffling the deck for evolution and adaptation. Which brings us to Section 4, haploid versus diploid cells. We are going to frame this exactly how you'll see it on an exam. Explain the term haploid cell. This is a classic direct problem that you are going to need to solve. When you see this prompt sitting there on your paper, how do you articulate the answer perfectly to secure full marks? Let's break down the visual definition. Look at the screen. See that n equals 23 stamped right over the illustration of the gametes? A haploid cell contains just a single set of chromosomes. That's exactly what the variable n represents. In humans, that single set equals 23 chromosomes. These are exclusively your reproductive cells, like sperm and egg cells, and they're basically carrying half the total genetic manual, just waiting for the other half. Now for the exact counterpart exam question. Explain the term diploid cell. I want you to mentally contrast this with a haploid definition we just went over. If haploid is half, what do you think a diploid is? Right, a diploid cell contains two full sets of chromosomes, and that's represented by 2n. Fertilization, which is when that n equals 23 sperm meets the n equals 23 egg, restores this diploid state. Notice the formula stamped over the tissue cells here, 2n equals 46. These diploid cells make up almost all of your body's tissues and are absolutely crucial for your daily growth, maintenance, and repair. And finally, Section 5, Acing Your Biology Exam. Okay, the absolute most frequent student error here is confusing the two cell types. Remember this visual contrast. Haploid equals 1 set, tied to the variable n. Diploid equals 2 sets, tied to the variable 2n. A great trick? Whenever you read haploid, just think half, and whenever you read diploid, think double. Anchoring these specific variables to those words is going to save you big time on multiple choice questions. Here's another really frequent mistake: assuming all cells undergo the exact same type of division. They absolutely do not. Mitosis occurs only in somatic cells, those are your regular body cells, creating identical diploid copies for growth. Meiosis, on the other hand, is strictly reserved for germline cells, creating those genetically unique haploid gametes for reproduction. Linking the division type to the specific cell type is an essential skill for your exam. Now take a mental snapshot of this comprehensive table. We've mapped haploid and diploid completely out across their formula, their cell type, and their division type. This right here is your ultimate visual study guide. If you can recreate this matrix from memory on test day, you have completely mastered the mechanical relationships of cellular division. All right, let's do a quick-fire, energetic recap of our core takeaways today. 1. Chromosomes are your tightly coiled data carriers. 2. Homologous chromosomes are the matched pairs you inherit from each parent. 3. Synapsis and the crossing over of DNA massively increase genetic diversity. And 4. Haploid cells are your gametes sitting at n equals 23, while diploid cells are your somatic body tissues sitting fully restored at 2n equals 46. Which brings us to our final thought. The absolute best way to prepare for your exams is to translate all this information into your own visuals. So here is my challenge to you. Can you grab a piece of paper and sketch the exact structural difference between an N cell and a 2N cell right now? Practicing with your own diagrams is literally the key to locking in this knowledge. Keep testing yourself, stay curious, and keep exploring the incredible biological mechanics that make up you. See you next time.